Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and we got another tier list here. We're going to be exploring dead games, like game or dying games. I guess some of them are still played, and some of them still have a player base. So I can't fully say it, but we'll just kind of go over it and see where it lands. A lot of these games, I want to say most of these games I played, at least dabbled in. So I feel like I have a little bit of say in it, and you guys can agree or disagree when you see it. First up, Back for Blood. Well, let me go over the categories real fast. S tier did nothing wrong. It was just a game. It was great. Just didn't work out. A tier, a couple missteps somewhere, but it was a great game. I mean, there's always some few hiccups, and sometimes people never recover from it. Next up is Deserved Better. So it was a game that was good. We wanted it to be good, and it just didn't work out. C, COVID made it, never recovered afterwards. There's a lot of games that are like that. In particular, there's some in here that fit this perfectly. D tier, it was obviously going to die. And F tier, just dead on arrival. It was a game that never was going to work out, and it never did. So let's just jump right into it. So Back for Blood. Back for Blood was one of those games that I had super high hopes for because the Left 4 Dead feel like they're some of the same development and the same writers and all that. So I was like, hell yeah, we're gonna get a game that's gonna be similar to that, or if not better, because it's more modern and maybe we'll have some aspects of changing up stuff. Played the beta when it came out through the beta missions. I think I must have done it like twice because it was twice or three times because the people were in it. And then when it came out, it just wasn't it for me. I just felt like I had scratched that itch playing, and I'm like, I'd rather just play Left 4 Dead if I'm going to play a game like that. I don't need anything new. It wasn't anything too crazy. I still want to eventually play through it because it's not completely gone yet. But I think overall, I just think it just didn't work out. I'm gonna say it deserved better. I think it could have definitely been a lot better, and I think the player base might have worked out pretty well for it. Next up is Blood Hunt. Blood Hunt's a really interesting game because it was one that I played when it first came out, and I thought there was a lot of potential in it. I was like, this actually could be a really good game, and I started streaming it and started playing it a lot, and I was like, I want to continue this. And then so much bad stuff came out about it. It kind of like installing stuff on your computer of like the what was it, the anti-cheat would be like installed on your computer even if you uninstalled it, and it would be eating up RAM. I remember there was just a lot of stuff said about it, and then like the player base just died out so fast in it. I think it's still around. I think it's still kicking. I haven't tried playing again. Again, if anybody wants to see any of these games that are still alive, I'll go back and play them because I'd be down. I want to say it deserved better because I think it was going to be a good game. I really do. Battle Royale, vampires, count me in. It sounds great. Maybe add a little werewolves in there, and we would have been probably cooking with some fire right there. But it didn't work out like that. Next up would be Rainbow Six Extraction. This one's like weird because it's like in a premise it's like Hunt the Showdown where it's like an extraction game where you go in, do some stuff, and get out. So it has like I felt like a possibility that it could be, but I've heard a lot of things wrong with microtransactions and stuff like that. I'm gonna put it in this game. I want an A tier or a couple miscues, but I think it was a great game because I've heard really good things about it and I've heard really bad things about it. So maybe I'll let you guys default on that. I feel like they just kind of messed their own stuff up. But yeah, I think that's probably the best way of putting it because I don't want to say it's on none of the other stuff because I really couldn't tell you um, it was going to die. I definitely don't think it was dead on arrival, but I don't remember it lasting super long. I think it's still around, but I don't think it's played. I'm not sure about that one. Next up is Fall Guys. Fall Guys is one of those that is still currently going around, and they're still currently updating it and doing stuff for it. So, like, I don't know if you would say necessarily a dead game, but it's definitely dead. And this is one of those special games that automatically fits the C category that I made, that COVID made it. Like, during COVID and people being at home, this game was the thing, and it literally just couldn't even keep up with the server demands, and it just didn't ever recover after that, which makes sense because people had to go back to work. People did a lot of different stuff after that, and other games were coming out because a lot of people were sitting at home, so it made sense to make other games. So, C. Halo Infinite. Now, this game I was just hyped for. I was so hyped for it. Um, Me particularly, I could not get the game to run smoothly with my computer. I have about 4 or 5 games that's happened to. Only 4 or 5 out of all the games I've ever played. I think it's fine, but this was one of them, and this was probably the most disappointing out of all of those. So I would probably say that I've heard some good and bad things about it. I feel like it could have been a great game, but it just had some miscues, and I think like they're still trying with it, and we'll see. It's still Halo, after all. So I'm gonna put it in A tier. You guys might also change up, what you think. Next up is Hyperspace. This was a game I remember when it came out. It was kind of one of those games that was like a load of fun, but like it had like some good skill based stuff, a little bit of different premises. I would say like the closest thing to it right now is the finals. I could be wrong with that, but that's how I kind of feel it. It just felt like a game though that wasn't going to survive super long. I'm going to say it deserved better. I think it could have possibly been up there if people could have constantly been playing it and stuff. But those shooting games kind of are like that. There's so much stuff you have to put in so much effort, and if you just have 1 or 2 miscues, it just doesn't work. Icons is going to be the first game I actually do not at all remember or know. I'm going to put it into D. I don't honestly know anything about it. I'll just put it there to be safe. I don't want to. I don't want to judge it too much. Knockout City. I don't know how that failed. It seemed like a premise that a lot of people were gonna like. I know. I know people were upset about like at least buying stuff on it. I know was the first thing. Which again, if it's like a game that's online, it's kind of the normal. So I would put it under A tier. Actually, I'm just gonna put it S tier. I think it just lost its player base. I think just people stopped playing it. I don't really know exactly what was its tremendous downfall, but I thought it was a pretty solid game. So I don't really understand necessarily why it got pulled, and I feel like it got pulled pretty fast. Next up is Apex Mobile. That's another game that got pulled really, really fast. I'm pretty sure just because like in most mobile games, it kind of was just dead on arrival. I feel like people just didn't want to go to mobile for that type of game, and I feel like that's most shooting games. Like if Overwatch tried the same thing, or Valorant's trying to do the same thing, but anything like that, I think it's just going to be dead on arrival. Then we have Multiverse, which is a very strange one because if we did this tier list about 6 months ago, it would probably be easily on it, missteps, and then but it was a great game. But it's now back, so I feel like there's still a way that it can still survive. I'm gonna put it in S tier. It's always about a balancing issue with the fighters that they try not to get too much cheat moves or too many like meta strategies that are not actually playing the game. So if they can somehow balance that and get some new content in there as soon as like as much as possible, I think the game might at least live for a lot longer than what it has been. All Star Brawl. This one was so bad that like it killed the sequel. Um, so I want to say like it deserved better, but like I feel like it was like pretty much dead because I feel like they were already looking at like just redoing it at some point anyways. I don't know. They went so fast into it. But yeah, I guess it deserves better. Realm Royale. Actually, it's probably one of the games that I played the least amount in here. Not maybe the least, but pretty low amount. I felt like they had some, server issues that really is what knocked it out. I really feel like that, and that just dwindled the player base, cheaters, stuff like that. But it was like right up there with Fortnite in some of those years, like at least being popular, like at least behind Fortnite, but like had a chance. Rogue Company, the Rogue Company was fun. I think it was one of those things where like you were so locked into like certain type of players that people didn't like it as much. I know like people were just like really obsessed with it because I'm pretty sure it was like one of the most popular games when it came out. Um, I feel like I'll put it in. It could be, it deserved better. It felt like it was, kind of your standard shooter, but like I think there could have been stuff that they did to do to make it better. Rumbleverse, I just think it lost all of its player base. I don't think it really did anything wrong. It just got repetitive and people just stopped playing it. It was just, battle royale where you punch people and stuff and you had cosmetics and stuff. I never really kind of got it. You know, it came out not that long after Knockout City, or like they came out within the same year, and I feel like Knockout City was way better, but I don't really see why it just died. Next up is Spellbreak. This is probably the game out of all the games here that I played the most amount, and I really like Spellbreak. And I, for whatever reason, stopped playing. Like probably a lot of people, I just stopped playing for whatever reason because there were so many other games, and then it died, and I was very sad that I didn't get to play it anymore. I wish I could play it more with people because it was a pretty fun game. You know, you had the two elements that you could have, and you could do some combinations and some wild stuff on it. I don't feel like it did anything wrong, at least off the top of my head. I just felt like most battle royales, it just kind of died. Splitgate was another fun game. I like the premise of the portals and stuff. It had a lot of broken strategies and unfair strategies. I think that really was probably what ended up killing it. The servers had a lot of issues in the beginning, and I think it just kind of crashed after that. It was just really high up there to do something, and it was just dead after that. Super People, again, it's another one where like I feel like it had potential, but then they were kind of moving on and moving stuff, and they even tried with a second one, and that failed too. So I'm just gonna say with that type of stuff, it was destined to die. Among Us is the other one that fits that C category perfectly. It was super popular. Every streamer played it. Every YouTuber had videos, and they could just do 50 million Among Us. Like I watched more YouTube during that COVID time about Among Us than any game I've ever watched lifetime. Like if somebody could track the amount of games I've watched, like video games, like streams, YouTube videos, Among Us would be easily number one, like by far, because of that COVID year and like a little bit afterwards. And it was fun. It was good TV or like good content and stuff. I remember when I first started streaming in 2021, this that was my game I played a lot of, and I got a lot of followers and a lot of people that came in from it. So shout out to Among Us being, a lot of people's game of choice to really get them popping off. So yeah, I'll go see with Among Us. Next we got Temtem. I really enjoyed Temtem. I still have not finished it, so I guess that's where you could say like player base has fallen off. I think it did nothing wrong. I can't I've not heard of anything controversial about it that did it. It was just a Pokemon clone, and it was online, so you could play with your friends. And I thought it was pretty solid. I guess the probably the worst part of it was that it was a clone of a game that's really popular, so you're always going to be compared to that compared to yourself. So that could be part of it. Next up, we have Titanfall. Now, I think this is like one of those games that a lot of people still try to play a lot of because they still want it to be a thing, but it just never got over of being, you know, like worked on and taken. I'm gonna say a couple of miscues, and that's what I think of dead games. I can think of a couple extra that weren't on this list, and maybe I'll do another list if I can find some more. If there are any games you guys want to suggest, off the top of my head, I'm struggling to think of any, but I do remember some games that just do not exist anymore because of multitude of reasons. But until next time, this has been Japan. Bye, guys.